99% of people are using AI completely wrong right now. Because if your workflow still looks like open ChatGPT, type prompt, copy answer, repeat, then honestly, you're still using AI like it's 2023. Meanwhile, over the past 2 months, I've been using something that completely changed how I work. And no joke, it probably saves me around 5 to 6 hours every single week and even executes tasks while I'm sleeping. It's Claude Cowork, a workspace where AI continuously works with you instead of just answering prompts. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how the tools work and 7 insanely powerful real-world workflows that changed everything for me. Because once you experience AI like this, there's honestly no going back. So, now let's talk about the biggest difference between normal Claude Chat and Claude Cowork. Claude Chat is a consultant, but Cowork is an executor. Standard Chat lives in your browser and has total amnesia the moment you close the tab. Cowork, however, lives on your machine. It has permanent memory through projects and active hands to manage your files, run terminal commands, and browse the web. Simply put, you use Chat to ask, but you use Cowork to delegate. Now let's move into the first real use case. And honestly, this is one of the simplest but most useful ones. A morning brief. Imagine waking up, opening your laptop, and instead of spending the first 30 minutes checking emails, Slack messages, calendars, and trying to figure out what's important, Claude already did it for you. And if you want all the prompts I used in this workflow, comment Cowork prompt below, and I'll send them to you. So first, you need to connect your Gmail and Google Calendar, just like I showed earlier in the connectors section. This is important because Claude needs permission to actually access your emails and calendar events. After that, what I'm going to do is create a new project. In my case, I'll call this project something like Personal AI Assistant. Then inside the project, I can add my workspace folder, so Claude has access to my notes, files, and project context. After that, I add project instructions, telling Claude how I want it to behave. Things like prioritizing urgent tasks, summarizing important information, and focusing on productivity workflows. Once the project is ready, now we can automate the morning brief. So here, I create a scheduled task called daily briefing. Then inside the instruction section, I tell Claude exactly what I want it to do every morning. For example, check my Google Calendar for today. Summarize important meetings and deadlines. After that, I can choose how often I want this workflow to run. For example, every morning at 7 a.m. And once I hit save, Claude automatically runs this workflow every day. So instead of spending the first 30 minutes of my morning checking emails and trying to figure out what's important, Claude already prepared everything for me before I even start working. Before we jump further into the next use case, make sure to subscribe to AIfire.co. On this channel, we bring you the latest AI news, break down practical AI workflows, and dive deep into prompt engineering techniques with real examples you can actually use in your work today. Alright, now let's move to use case number 2, file and document management. And for this demo, I'm not going to use my real downloads folder, because that's honestly a little risky. Instead, I'll create a fake messy folder inside my Claude workspace called Messy Downloads Demo. Here, I've added a bunch of random files. Now I'll go back into Claude Cowork and give it a very simple instruction. I'll say, please organize the folder Messy Downloads Demo. Create subfolders for images, videos, documents, PDFs, archives, and others. And if you want all the prompts I used in this workflow, comment Cowork prompt below, and I'll send them to you. Now watch what happens. Claude starts creating the folders, moving the files, and renaming everything automatically. So instead of manually dragging 100 files one by one, Claude handles the whole cleanup process for me. And this sounds simple, but if you work with content, marketing, client files, video assets, screenshots, transcripts, or reports, this can save you so much time every single week. Moving into use case number 3, automated video highlights. So first, I create a folder called Video Highlights Demo. Inside this folder, I put the original YouTube video, the full transcript, and a small brand guideline file. Then inside Claude Cowork, I select Work in a Project and connect that folder. Now, prompt number 1. I ask Claude to analyze the video and transcript, then find the 5 best short-form highlights for TikTok, Shorts, and LinkedIn. Claude then creates a markdown file with timestamps, hooks, captions, and editing ideas. So instead of manually scrubbing through a 1-hour video, Claude is already finding the strongest moments for me automatically. Then, prompt number 2. I ask Claude to generate detailed editing instructions. Things like when to use Facecam, when to show screen recordings, where to zoom in, where subtitles should emphasize words, and where dramatic pauses should happen. So now, Claude basically becomes an AI content producer, planning the edit workflow for me. And then prompt number 3. I ask Claude to generate FFmpeg commands that can automatically cut all the clips from the original video. Now, for those of you who don't know, FFmpeg is basically a super powerful video processing tool that editors and developers use behind the scenes for things like cutting videos, converting formats, rendering clips, and automating editing workflows. And honestly, this is where things got kind of crazy, because I actually tested a 4th prompt asking Claude to run the FFmpeg commands and export all the clips into a new folder called Short Clips. And it actually worked. Claude automatically cut the clips from the original video and exported them into separate short-form videos. So now, instead of manually finding moments, cutting clips, exporting files, and organizing everything myself, Claude can automate a huge part of that workflow for me. And these clips can immediately be reused for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or basically any short-form content platform. Now, to be clear, Claude still isn't fully replacing Premiere Pro or CapCut here. But what it is doing is automating one of the most painful parts of content creation: finding hooks, identifying viral moments, generating timestamps, planning edits, and even helping execute parts of the editing workflow automatically. And honestly, that alone can save creators hours every single week. And if you guys want, I can make a completely separate video showing how to connect Claude with FFmpeg and automated editing workflows to export real clips automatically. If you want that, comment Claude Edit below. Alright, now let's move into use case number 4, deep data reporting. And honestly, this workflow alone can save creators and marketers hours every single month. Now, technically, there are 2 ways to do this. Claude can directly browse YouTube Studio through Chrome, which looks really cool. But honestly, it can sometimes be unstable because of permissions or browser access. So for this demo, I'm going to use a much safer workflow using a YouTube Analytics CSV export. So first, I go into YouTube Studio, open Analytics, switch to Advanced Mode, and export the analytics as a CSV file. Then, I create a folder called YouTube Analytics Report Demo inside my Claude workspace, and place the CSV file inside. Now, back inside Claude Cowork, I select Work in a Project, choose that folder, and prompt Claude to analyze the analytics data and generate a strategy report with recommendations for future content. And once I run the task, Claude immediately starts reading through the CSV data and automatically creates a clean markdown report with insights, content recommendations, and future video ideas. So instead of manually digging through dashboards and spreadsheets, Claude already summarizes the important insights for me automatically. Claude stops feeling like a chatbot and starts feeling more like an AI analyst working behind the scenes for your business. Alright, now let's move into use case number 5, competitor analysis and web scraping. And honestly, this is probably one of the most powerful workflows for marketers, because one of the most underrated features inside Claude Cowork is its ability to control your browser through the Chrome connector. Now, before you do this, one very important thing: you need to install the Claude Chrome extension first. Otherwise, Claude won't be able to interact with your browser, so make sure the extension is installed and connected before testing this workflow. So for this demo, I'm actually going to use AI Fire's Meta Ads library page. If you didn't know, every company running Facebook or Instagram ads has their ads publicly visible inside the Meta Ads library. Once I'm there, I simply copy the URL. After that, I paste the Meta Ads library link and prompt Claude to analyze the competitor's ad strategy. Now, once I run the task, Claude immediately opens Chrome using the browser connector and starts browsing the meta ads library automatically. Claude starts scanning the active ads, analyzing the copywriting angles, opening landing pages, and mapping out the competitor's funnel automatically. Then, after a few minutes, Claude compiles everything into a clean markdown report. This would normally take hours of manual research. But with Claude Cowork, you can analyze an entire competitor funnel in just a few minutes. Alright, now let's move into the final use case, skill packaging, or what I like to call the autopilot system. So here's the idea. Let's say I've just completed the competitor analysis workflow from the previous use case. Claude already opened the meta ads library, analyzed the ads, checked the hooks, looked at the landing pages, and created a full marketing report for me. Now, instead of explaining that entire process again tomorrow, I can turn this workflow into a reusable skill. So the important thing here is don't open a new chat. Stay inside the exact same Cowork conversation where Claude just completed the workflow. Then, I paste a prompt asking Claude to use its skill creator system to turn the workflow we just completed into a reusable skill called Competitor Ads Analyzer. After a few minutes, Claude generates the skill. And if everything looks good, I simply click Save Skill. Now to test it, I open a new Cowork chat, type /, search for Competitor Ads Analyzer, paste a new competitor link, and Claude automatically runs the entire workflow without me explaining everything from scratch again. And honestly, this is where things start getting really crazy. Because once you realize you can package workflows like this, you stop thinking about AI as just prompting, and you start thinking about building reusable AI systems for your work. And by the way, this idea becomes even more powerful inside Claude Code. I already made a full video about Claude Code, so if you want to go even deeper into the AI employee rabbit hole, definitely check that video out after this one. Alright, before we end this video, there are two important things you should know. First, privacy and security. Claude Cowork works directly with the folders and files you allow access to, which is why I highly recommend creating a dedicated workspace folder instead of giving it access to your entire computer. And personally, I would be very careful with terminal access. Always set strong guardrails in your instructions, so Claude doesn't accidentally run commands or modify files you didn't intend. Second, tokens. And honestly, Claude Cowork is a token monster because it constantly reads files, remembers context, analyzes workflows, and uses tools in the background. I already made a full video about how I optimize and reduce token usage inside Claude. That video is honestly a must-watch if you want to use Cowork long-term. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment below. At the end of the day, the biggest mindset shift is this. Claude Cowork isn't here to replace you. It's here to clear the busy work out of your way. So, stop just chatting with AI and start actually building with it. I've prepared my exact mega prompt with the system instructions ready for you to copy-paste. Comment Cowork prompt below, and I'll send them to you. Smash that like button, subscribe for more AI Fire, and don't forget to visit aifire.co to stay ahead of the revolution. Anyway, I'm Selena. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.